Greetings from Lapland, Finland, and welcome to the TOURBO Capacity Building Webinar in Digitalization in Tourism. My name is Eija Raasakkka. I work in the Lapland University of Applied Sciences and in the TOURBO project. And before we go to today's actual program, I will tell a little bit about TOURBO project. TOURBO is the whole name of TOURBO Interreg Europe program, or the project is called Boosting the Transition Pathway for micro and small and medium-sized enterprises in tourism with green and digital transition. Twin transition, as we say. We have some goals and some challenges that we are trying to solve in this project. First of all, it is well known that the SMEs and micro-sized companies, tourism companies, don't always have a possibility to follow this digital transformation because of the money and because of the lack of the time. But this project is one of the projects that is trying to solve the problem. As you can see, we have twin transition, digital and green. So sustainability is also very important to us. And as this webinar is on digitalization, after 1 month we have our German partners will have a webinar on sustainability. We are 9 partners that we work together, and it is really, really nice partnership, the consortium. We have worked now together for 3 years, almost 3 years, and we are getting to know each other. We have exchanged some ideas and good practices and getting to know how the tourism twin transition is solved in each country. Our lead partner is in Spain, in Seville, and you can see the green dots in the map. Those are the European Union countries that are in our partnership, and then we have one red dot, and that is, we are very happy to have Albania also involved in our project. They joined a little bit later in this one, when European Union made it possible. But as you can see in the map, we are from north to south, from east to west. There is our internet page. Each Interreg Europe project has their own page. So please go and check what we have done so far and what we will do in the future also. Here are some points that we are in our actions, like good practices, exchange of experience, peer reviews, and reinforcing regional ecosystems, as this webinar is also doing. Pilot actions are done in Italy and Greece, and you can read about those results in our webpage. Policy transfers is the main goal of our projects, the Interreg Europe projects. We are trying and we are doing our best to influence in our policy instruments in each region. After we have learned good practices and examples from each other, we can also, we will get them, or we will include them in our regional strategies that we have chosen in the beginning of the project. So then our program today, it's all about digitalization, and we are lucky to have 2 international experts in this today. They are our principal lecturers. Both of them have studied digitalization very carefully, and they are Dr. Sanna-Mari Renfors and Dr. Maarit Tihinen. They will be discussing first and introducing us to the latest news in digitalization in tourism. Then we have two marvelous examples from our entrepreneurs here in Lapland. One is the company called Bearhill Huskies, and Rob Patterson will introduce us to their digital path. And then another one is a company called Polar Star Travel, and Miss Heidi Jokela, she will then tell us about their digitalization journey. And in the end, Sanna-Mari and Maarit will have a summary before closing this webinar. So thank you very much. I wish everybody very interesting seminar or webinar in digitalization. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, everyone. And this photo was taken in Rovaniemi, where one campus of Lapland University of Applied Sciences is located. And this view is quite a typical view of dark November evening as we live at the moment here, because there is no snow yet to like that landscape, but maybe there is the light and autumn at the night time. Our presentation title is Digitalization is revolutionizing the tourism industry. Okay, my name is Maarit Tihinen, and we both, Sanna-Mari and I, work as a principal lecturers for our master programs, as Eija mentioned earlier. I received my doctoral dissertation in information processing sciences from University of Oulu, Finland, and I have worked earlier for 20 years about software technologies and digital transformation team at VTT, that is the Technical Research Center of Finland. So my research topics are focused on digital services and digital transformation, IoT, industrial internet, but also business models in general. So, Sanna-Mari, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank you for the invitation to this webinar. My name is Sanna-Mari Renfors, and I come from Finland, northern part of Finland, Lapland University of Applied Sciences. My background is in higher tourist education. I have been teaching tourism, researching these changing skills needs, and upskilling tourist workforce for the past 20 years. And currently I also work as an adjunct professor of tourism in University of Lapland. So my background is not from technology-oriented fields, but in tourism and tourist business, and certainly skills development in tourism.
Thank you, Sanna-Mari. I hope my voice is okay. Let's continue.
Yeah, so as we know, digital skills are identified as one of the most critical skill sets in tourism nowadays, also in the tourist SME and tourist destination level both. So therefore today we would like to approach digital skills from two different kind of perspectives, from technological point of view and also from the tourist industry point of view. We think that this helps us to get a deeper insight to this theme and to this issue, and especially to the changing, very fastly changing and transforming digitalization and the needed skills. So, Maarit, please go ahead.
Thank you, Sanna-Mari. So I think that we could start the definitions, and I believe that all of us knows that digitization is understood as a simply converting physical information in the digital format. But digitalization is understood quite a broader process. And nowadays we can say that digitalization refers more and more a digital transformation process that involves the integration of digital technologies into all areas of a business, leading to fundamental change in how the business operate and deliver value to its customers. So digital transformation causes change in several levels of organizations. For example, in process level, how to adopt totally new digital tools or improve processes by reducing manual steps, for example, or change in organizational level, how to offer new services or how to offer existing services in new ways. And then also in business domain level, what are the new or what kind of changes we can affect for roles and what kind of new values of change is seen. And finally, that's digital transformation is seen in change in society in general. So in tourism industry, digital transformation affects all business processes, such as purchase transactions, for example, sales and marketing processes, customer interface services, product and service distribution channels, internal company processes, customer management, human resource management, leadership, tools, practices, all. So against this background, I think that it's easier to understand that there is no only one simple way to define the most important technologies in the tourism industry. Because just a definition would always require a precise contextual definition. However, in our presentation, we will highlight a few technologies and their context of use today. So in the TOURBO project that was focused on fostering digitalization of European tourism SMEs, that can be said that is the same tour family like TOURBO. In that project the most potential technologies or solutions were mapped to three various stakes according to level of digitalization of SMEs. In the stake 1, there were mapped technologies from viewpoint how to get ready with digitalization. Then in stake 2, were mapped those technologies that help companies in their growing path with digitalization. And then in stake 3, leading ahead, where consist of a set of technologies that can improve provide, for example, improved visitor experiences or increase operational and resource efficiency. So we can argue that that mapping is somehow artificial, but it's I think that is the good way and help understand how SMEs can process with digitalization in practice. And here is this slide shows those three stakes defined in TOURBO project and the technologies that were mapped to each stake of identified them. We produced also 3 quite large publications, 2022, 23, and 24. And those reference details are at the end of this presentation, and you can find there more precise example of the use of each of these technologies and this more description about them. In generally, the tools and the technology identified in the TOURBO project in 2022 is still relevant, but there is at least one technology, artificial intelligence, that needs to be examined a little bit closely, I think so, because generative AI has involved the maturity of the technology has made it possible that now in 2025 AI is already strongly integrated into stake 1 tools and solutions. And if we look at a little bit more detail about artificial intelligence, Gartner reported this year that we are going from generative AI toward agentic AI. And there is a fundamental difference between these AI models. While generative AI models return content based on the given query or prompt, you ask write down to AI. Instead, agentic AI models can make decisions and perform actions autonomously to achieve specific goals. And Gartner reported that the agentic AI is coming more and more strategic technology and strategic digital skill in all industry domains, also of course in tourism domain. And this refers also automation in general. And we can see that at the moment automation is some kind of goal. It increases efficiency, but in terms of reducing human resources and increasing speed. And increasing automation, it involves also the use of robotics in various processes where applicable, and that is seen also in tourism. And here you can see the list of key technologies in tourism in 2025, and all technologies listed in black text were also included those TOURBO publication mentioned earlier. And then it's good to notice that, for example, big data and data analytics technologies have nowadays integrated on many online tools like online reservation or other solutions. And those tools include also more sophisticated artificial intelligence features, tools like dynamic pricing. And then those technologies that are listed in the green in the table were not included earlier in the TOURBO project. And if you look at the more detail about those technologies, we can see that the data processing speed have developed rapidly, and it enable the use of this kind of technologies and even make them a commonplace for many processes and tools in tourism tour, and their application areas will increase near future. And if we translate before introduce the key technologies in the digital skills, the table looks like about this. And this table show how those critical digital skills, what they are, and we can see that they are relating to activities aimed to increase or promote sales in general, and also activities related to customer relationship management, and of course skills and activities related to security, data protection, risk management issues, and activities that are aimed to support or increase sustainability issues. And in practice, one person may have one or several of these digital skills, especially in SME companies. But then on the other hand, if we think about the large companies, there can individuals become more and more deeply familiar with specific areas of some expertise. But Sanna-Mari, what do you think? What does the tourism industry think about the digital skills?
Thank you, Maarit. Yes, let's move on to the industry perspective. As Maarit just showed, technology is developing very fast, and there's a huge list of different kind of digital skills. And it also puts a lot of pressure for the tourist industry and its skills development. So most of all, I think that according to the tourist SMEs and destinations, they think that digital skills are very complex. According to them, the need for digital skills is increasing in tourist companies of all sizes, certainly, and also in different level job positions. Nowadays, for example, the basic jobs in the tourist sector at the operational level, if, for example, a person is working as a receptionist, it requires much more digital skills than before. For example, data protection, secure payments, different kind of digital skills are needed. In addition, there are a lot of new tech-related specialist job profiles and occupations, for example, data analysts that emerge in bigger tourist companies. Then also the different level positions, for example, what about managers, as Maarit mentioned many times, management, what are their digital skills needs nowadays? And also, as Maarit mentioned many times, context. I think that the digital transformation is ongoing across all tourist sector, but its implementation varies per sector. So if you're working, for example, in a restaurant kitchen, or if you are working in a marketing of a visitor attraction, the context is quite different. You need different kind of needed skills. So basically, I think that in practice, it's very essential for the tourist SMEs to understand and identify how digitalization is changing the work, job profiles, and also their business operations, because it's context dependent. So context has a huge influence on the digital skills and digital skills needs and skills gaps. Could you, Maarit, yeah. Another concern when interviewing the tourist industry is about are robots doing our work in future. Self-service technologies, they are also rapidly growing, process automation supported by robotics. It's said that some tasks can be replaced with different kind of digital tools, and as we have also seen in the past years during the pandemic, digitalization has been clearly advancing in tourist companies. However, it's estimated that the number of personnel will not necessarily change in tourist SMEs, even though the customer certainly can handle many things through the self-service machines and things like this in the future. But I think it's good to note that in contrary, digitalization, it supports operational level jobs and increases customer satisfaction. So this is also context dependent, and it also emphasizes understanding how digitalization can support the certain SME in their operations. So when we talk about skills, I think one of the greatest issue nowadays, the most significant issue from the tourist SME perspective, is that how on earth they are actually going to find digital experts. There is a huge increase in specialist digital skills, as shown in Maarit's slides. There's a huge amount of different kind of technologies which need specialist skills. So business profitability, growth and competitiveness, they all depend on the specialist skills. For example, in bigger tourist companies and also in smaller tourist companies, but they have a slightly different issue, as mentioned, time and energy to money to put on, for example, to acquire these kind of skills. But for the bigger tourist companies, which can actually hire full-time digital tourist specialists, it's very difficult to attract skillful employees. In tourist business, there is a too poor understanding and also the image of the career and job possibilities in tourism. Here is, for example, a quote from tourism manager of a bigger tourist company, a hotel chain, who has said that they have had vacancies in digital development, but it's been really challenging to find people who are both interested in and understand the tourist context. Even though there are digital professionals available in the job markets, they don't choose to work in tourism. They prefer working, for example, in a robotics center. So digital skills put a lot of pressure to tourism companies, not depending on their size. Yes. And also not only puts pressure to tourism companies, but to tourist employees. We know that digital skills, as they are rapidly evolving, employees must also constantly update their skills to cope with their daily jobs. This increases their stress and has a negative impact on well-being at work. For example, in specialist positions, the skills might be so detailed that when needed to perform the tasks, there is no support available, no persons who can actually advise and support you in completing your tasks. Or if you are taking a leave or a holiday, for example, there is nobody to replace you during that holiday period. So you must consider very carefully when you, for example, can and could have your holiday. And I think this also put a lot of pressure to the employers, how to retain these employees, as it's a long path actually to develop their digital skills. So if they decide to change workplaces, I think that must be somehow how can you say, not for them to change the position to be able to retain them. But yeah, for the company, it requires support to secure their well-being at work, And it also highlights the importance of training as the main HRM element for them to cope with daily jobs. And also they should think about how to develop a culture of lifelong learning in tourism companies.
Well,
next, yeah, please.
Well,
Maarit.
I think that you can continue to next few slides about the summary of this set of our presentation.
Yeah.
I think so that it's belong here.
For sure. Yeah. So here we can also see the variance between different kind of digital skills. We need the basic skills. Everyone needs the digital literacy and the basic digital skills. But nowadays, as there is so much different kind of emerging technologies, that puts the pressure on the employees and employers. So the basic digital skills, for sure, they remain the same in the future. In addition, there has been a lot of skills related to digital privacy ethics, secure information processing that are emerging. But the biggest skills gaps and the pressure, it is related to emerging technologies. So the challenge is really for tourist companies that they don't have enough digital expertise, and specialists concentrating on smart solutions, tools and platforms, they are desperately required. Also, we talked about bigger tourist companies and the need for specialist skills. Also, the smaller tourist companies need for specialist skills. And there is another issue because they are not capable of employing full-time experts due to the lack of resources. So one solution has been proposed to actually establish work ecosystems to share these specialists working for several companies at the same time to get the expertise, to share the costs. So what I think is that collaboration and networking in future to really have access to specialist skills is urgently needed. We need collaboration and networking to actually get to digital skills and ensure the company competitiveness much more than ever before. Maarit, would you like to continue?
Yes, I think so. I think that we can stop our presentation part into this. I let
right.
one slide to the end of this webinar, but I think that if there is someone who want to ask or comment about these our ideas and talks at the moment before continue the webinar.
There is a comment from Teemu Sara from Bearhill Huskies. Teemu, you want to open your microphone and read the comment, or?
Yes, I can. So in SME companies like ourselves in this case, is that it was very difficult to think of hiring someone completely outside of our company to start working on the digitalization in general and the Google marketing or something like that. But then, just like in my own personal case, is that I started from just a normal sales worker in there, and then I got taught how to do this digital marketing more and the Google ads and all that stuff. But it's of course, there's now, as the company is growing, there's more and more time that is required to actually do these kind of things on the digital marketing end. And then it's now I can also move towards doing more of those when the company is growing. But it takes a lot of time and development in general when the companies grow, that they can actually truly say that, okay, now we will have this one person actually only working for this digital end of things and not do everything else on the side. And it can be very difficult in general, especially in working in tourism, because it's so seasonal. So actually, I know for a fact that I will have way less time during the winter season to actually spend on this than I would want to. But it's just how this tourism business works in general.
Yes, thank you. That was a good example and a good description how is today. Great.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, what I want to do is actually just like comment on what Sanna-Mari had said about the issue with getting professionals into the travel space, and then also sort of like to piggyback on what Damo said as well, because I have worked with Bearhill, and Damo and I have worked very close in terms of the training and everything. And myself, I am a digital marketer, like running my own business. And the reason why I know a lot of digital marketers don't want to go into tourism is because tourism companies greatly undervalue the actual skills and the knowledge. So I could go and be I could work in digital marketing and tourism as a chief of digital marketing, and the most that they're going to want to pay me is probably around 4,500 euros in Finland. Whereas if you go and work in a more advanced or more in an industry that actually values your skills, you could be looking at double that salary easily. So the industry itself doesn't understand the actual power of the position and the skills and the knowledge.
Absolutely, I agree with you 100%. Yeah, thank you for your comment.
That's what I do with my own clients. I work as the digital guy for about 5 or 6 tourism companies, and they get charged a very much lower fee than they would be if I was working for them completely. But there are some that say, "Hey, would you like to come and work for us?" And I say, "I don't think that you can afford me." And it's not because I'm trying to be rude or arrogant. It's because I'm being a realist about it.
Yes, thank you, Robert, and thank you for listening to us, for all audience. Thank you.
And now, Rob, you actually have the next, you can have the floor now, telling about Bearhill Huskies and how they have solved these challenges of digitalization.
All right, so I just talked a little bit about my experience and everything, but I'll go ahead and also talk about a case that I've been working with now for almost a decade. So like Eija said, my name is Rob Patterson. Short, brief introduction. I am an American who's been living here in Rovaniemi for the last almost 20 years. Been operating my own business, specializing in digital marketing for the last 11 years or so. And one client that I've had for a great duration of time has been Bearhill Husky. Just to give you a little background about Bearhill Husky, their story started over 20 years ago. In 2003, the company was established by Mr. Valentine Beets and Ms. Veronika Butinova in a small little area of Lieksa, Finland, in the south east of Finland. So originally they started out as a subcontractor kennel, where they were brought up here to Rovaniemi for December, primarily for the rush that happens. A lot of smaller kennels will do this in Rovaniemi and then also in Lapland, because a lot of the larger tourism providers don't actually own their own dogs. They run their services through subcontractors. But after about a decade of doing that, they had a family and they realized that, okay, we can't really keep coming back and forth so much. So they decided to blaze a new trail and they relocated to Rovaniemi permanently in 2013, and they began as their own operators, their own operations there. But it wasn't really until 2016, whenever they started to really see this great vision for the future, and they wanted to really go out and establish the gold standard of kennels in Sinetta in Rovaniemi. It's about 20 kilometers just northwest of Rovaniemi here, right along Viksjärvi. Beautiful, beautiful location, remote, but still very accessible. So this was what they really wanted to do in terms of making their vision become a reality. So whenever they first started, they'd been around the business for a little while. They got their first website set up. So they started with the baby steps of digitalization. And when we talk about the baby steps, the first thing that we're talking about here are full-scale SEO improvements across the website. So they had a website that had some information on it and everything like that, but it wasn't really optimized. So this was the first thing they actually talked to me about in October of 2017. They wanted me to come in, go through the website, make sure that everything was working properly, that the content was written well, that the heading structures were there, that all the alt text was attached to the images. So they had learned a little bit about what was important, but they didn't know how to do it themselves. So they reached out to me and we did that first. And another thing that we also did was really look at a structured social plan, or sort of brand development for their company. Valentine and also Veronica are very strong-willed people and very passionate. They care about how things are done and sort of having that moral and ethical standard behind them. So whenever we built out their communications plan, we were very, very meticulous and diligent as to how we did that through social media, how we told stories, how we explained what the values were of the company. So we used basically the sort of the free tools, so to speak, in terms of digitalization at first, looking at the SEO and also the social media side. And during this time, Bearhill had a rapid growth in terms of the revenues, and then also just sort of understanding about the company. With a lot of this revenue and with a lot of the profit that they were able to generate, they put this into infrastructure improvements of the kennel. So they didn't put as much effort into the digital side of things because it was working. And also, there just weren't as many competitors back then. So they wanted to build up the infrastructure of their kennel. They saw this vision that they had been working towards for the last 10 years or so that had been in their mind, and they wanted to keep building upon that. So the majority of their success was attributed to the name recognition. Also, TripAdvisor was a big thing for them. They realized that a lot of their clientele that were coming were from English-speaking countries, and TripAdvisor is very popular in those markets. We also looked at word of mouth referrals as a big reason why people would come back, and also sort of backing up those reviews. But because of the smaller competitor pool, that was really what allowed Bearhill to succeed and grow at sort of an exponential level that we hadn't really anticipated them to. So when things are going well, you don't really need to have that much help. At least that's the way a lot of people in the tourism industry feel. But then along came COVID. And we all know what happened with COVID in 2020. It really sort of threw a wrench into the gears for everyone. For Bearhill, it meant a lot of difficult times. But after COVID, we decided that it was time to go ahead and blaze a new trail by establishing thought leadership, and also by setting trends. One thing that I've talked about several times and over several hours and possibly even days worth of time with Valentin over the nearly 10 years that I've known him is that he always has new ideas. He always wants to try something new. And after COVID, one thing that he wanted to focus on was continued and dedicated development of online services, expanding sort of what we were offering customers and clients through our online channels and things like that. And first thing that they did was they had a new and better site that was developed. The original one looked good and everything, but there were some issues in terms of the user ability, the UX and things like that. And also we had to go ahead and redo the SEO for that. As that site came along and it was okay and this and that for the first 2 years or so, we realized that, well, there's a lot that's also changing in the industry. I'm sure that everybody is familiar with Bokun, the online booking system, which was a great introduction that also Visit Rovaniemi got behind here in Rovaniemi, and they pushed the providers to go ahead and adopt it. So that provided us with new multi-channel sales and also different marketing opportunities to go ahead and have our products on our own site, and also to have other people provide them with the opportunity to go ahead and sell our products and market them elsewhere. And we also saw a few other things that we could potentially do. So we looked at drop shipping expansion. There's sort of two different sides of tourism when you talk about sort of the memories or the keepsakes. And one thing that a lot of tour providers don't really have is they don't necessarily have something that is a keepsake that you can get or that you can have from your experience. So one thing that we wanted to do was to actually build an online store, but we did not want to have to carry all the inventory. So we researched a third-party provider that we were able to go ahead and develop our own online products and everything. People could purchase them and then they could get them shipped directly to them. We didn't have to actually invest anything in terms of the overhead of the project, no inventory or anything like that. So this was something that it was an add-on, nothing really that brought a ton of value, but it does bring some value and a little bit of differentiation, especially when looking at our other competitors. But the biggest thing that we've done, particularly since 2021, is thorough multi-channel data analysis. I was happy to see during Maarit and Sanna-Mari's speech that you guys talked about the importance of data analysis, because I am a data junkie. Bearhill, we have become data junkies. Damo can also vouch to this, that we love looking at the numbers and trying to read between the lines. And what we've used the data to go ahead and do is to have continuous website UX improvements. So we look at how long are people on a specific page. We look at what are they doing, what are they interacting with, what is our close rates, how many people are bouncing out of the website. So over the past couple summers during the low season, what we've been able to do is take on these larger website UX improvements that have sort of lined up with what we've seen through the data, through different channels. But then we've also been able to go ahead and look at identifying emerging markets just from looking at where people are coming from, or how often they're looking at projects, or how often they're looking at different products and things like that. A few years ago, we were just sitting having a meeting and we said, hey, look at this country. There's a lot of people coming from here. And it turned out that it was one that we actually did go after and did provide some value to us. So the data analysis is something that we've really leaned on heavily, whether it's through Google Analytics or through Google Ads or through social media. We look at all those things to try and improve what we're doing, and then also to offer new things to our customers and to the people that could potentially become customers. But the one thing that we did when Maarit was talking about the TOURBO program, no, I'm sorry, it was Eija who was talking about the TOURBO program. We actually were participants in the TOURBO program a couple years back. And what we did was we wanted to talk about leveraging reputation management, and particularly with tours and like tour reviews. One thing that Bearhill Husky has been able to do very, very well since they actually established themselves is to get good reviews. And if you believe the numbers and everything like that, about 90% of people are more likely to purchase a product or to try a service if someone close to them has told them about it. So if it's a family member or if it's a close friend or something like that. So having those good reviews is really important, but also having them visible for people to see. If you believe the numbers, and there is some variance in there, they say that having good reviews for a website or for a product or service can be 4 to 5 times more valuable than running any sort of paid ad campaign. And that's essentially free marketing. That's free advertisement that you don't have to do yourself. You don't have to spend any money on it. So we built a project that found out how we could go ahead and leverage reputation management by curating reviews. After certain times, people are served with a prompt to go ahead and actually share their experience with us. And we've seen that it worked fairly well. Prior to starting this project, we received about 0.7 reviews per day. And by the end of the following season, after it had been completely implemented, we were receiving about 3.76 reviews per day. So it really went up a lot. Now it has sort of stabled off a little bit. Really getting people to give the reviews is more challenging, but it worked in that sense. We were able to increase our reviews and also to increase our reach because of that. And then what we've done most recently is really using inbound marketing and the inbound methodology to build connections. For years, Bearhill had talked about having a blog or some sort of interactive sort of knowledge base. And this is where we also talk about the thought leader side of things. When you've been in the business for 20 years, when you've been running your own kennel for almost 10 years, and you've been really sort of advancing and pushing the envelope in terms of what is the gold standard, what is the best of the best, an inbound marketing sort of approach really made sense for Bearhill to do this. So we went and started telling stories, told things about the history of the kennel, the history of the actual sport of dog sledding. We talk about things that what are the best tours for certain customer demographics and things like that. So this is something that we started over the summer, and we're still doing it, and it's working out pretty well. But the one thing that I am probably the most excited about and actually the most sort of proud of is the most recent project that we did. And I was happy to see that you guys also talked about immersive travel as being something that is coming up. I worked for years ago, I worked with a guy who did virtual tours and scans for like real estate companies and things like that. And I always thought that it would be so cool to do it at Bearhill, to go ahead and be able to scan the outside and provide like a gamification sort of feeling of that you can check out the kennel from anywhere in the world. And what we were able to do this past summer was I introduced another local provider, a friend of mine, to Bearhill, and we were able to go ahead and work together on a great project to enhance customer experience and really just set it so far apart from everyone else. There's a lot of Husky kennels here. There's been a lot of new providers that have popped up over the past couple of years. So now it's not so much about what you do, but how special or how different you are. And when we did this virtual kennel tour, and you can see it on their website, it's really nice. It works really well. You get to go ahead and jump in there. And there's videos that Valentine, he's sort of the figurehead of Bearhill. He tells you what they do, why they do things. They have videos about their Repaw project, which is how they actually find forever homes for retired dogs. They are a no-kill kennel, so they are very, very, very sustainable and very ethical in that sense. So this was something that I was really stoked about, and it's something that you don't see really anybody else having in the tourism industry. You might see it in hotels, you might see it in restaurants, but in terms of actual tour providers, this is something that I don't think you've seen anywhere else. It took a lot of work, but it's something that it turned out really well. And we're also going to do a winter scan in January to add to it. Right now, it's just a summer version, but we'll have a winter scan so people can see what it's like in the summer and also in the winter. So there's a lot of cool things that Bearhill has done. And pretty much I sit by my phone daily and I wait to see what Valentine will call me about next, because that's just the way he is. He's an idea machine, and they always want to be changing and moving forward. So that's all I really have for this. Thank you, everyone. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to field them and also answer them to the best of my ability. But thank you.
Thank you, Rob. It was very nice presentation. Thank you. It is the native speaker. It is always nice to listen to the native speaker. And kindly notice that there's a Bearhill Huskies. Teemu put the Bearhill Huskies webpage for the virtual tour. Thank you, Rob, a lot. You are always busy. That's
I
good.
am. I like it that way.
That's good.
Okay, bye-bye.
So everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye, Rob. And we go now to the next presentation. And as Heidi Jokela, the owner and CEO of the company, she couldn't be here today. So we have pre-recorded her presentations, and Sari will present it to us now. Please, Sari.
Hello everybody, I am Heidi Jokela, the owner of Polarstar Travel, and I'm here to share with you our road, our way on digitalization, what we have been doing past years and what result it has given to us. So we are Polarstar Travel, a local tour operator or destination management company in Levi in Finnish Lapland. And our main goal is, of course, let the wild Arctic nature of Lapland embarrass your soul and feel the magic of the north. So this is in the base of all what we do. We love Arctic nature and we want to share this love with our guests. We are a family-owned company. And actually, you can see in this photo our staff last year, and my husband is also there. This Jokela family has lived in Köngäs and Sirkka villages for 10 generations. So they were the first Finnish people moving to this Lapland. And we have over 30 years of experience in international tourism. I have been working, before coming back to Lapland, I have been working in different parts of Europe. We are genuinely local. We are really local company because, of course, as you know, when you have resorts, there come many companies that work only for winter time. They come here only with high season, but we really live here and we really have our family here. We are based in this land and we really love and appreciate Lapland all the year round. And we understand Lapland identity in the way that allows us to share it truthfully and memorably. We are truly levy-based company. We understand and appreciate the local culture and history and know how to respect them. We live and breathe the heart of Lapland in the village of Sirkka, just by Levyfell. This photo is in the top of Levy, where there is a little cottage that was built there to film a film of Santa Claus. It's a perfect location where Santa Claus can live, and there is my guides walking down and showing you this beautiful landscape. So our company was founded, Aurora Incoming Levy Oy, in 2007, and that was the year when my twin boys were born. So we have had very hectic history. My boys are now 18 this year. So it has been 18 years. We are grown up with our company. And we started of the maintenance and rental of apartments in the center of Levy. And gradually our business expanded and we started to offer for the international tour operators also the cottages and apartments in Levy area. In 2009, we joined the Fintravel network that was a franchising company, and there was 3 offices in Lapland, and we were one of them. But then on 2017, we decided that now it's time to brand our heart, to brand our company in the way that we can do whatever we wish. And we give the name to the company Polar Star Travel. And 2018, we bought Polar Meetings business operations, and we had then 24 apartments, the management of 24 apartments in the center of Levy. And we gave the name for this apartment Polar Star Apartments. 2020, that was the year of the Corona period, we were thinking, okay, this is just a small influence. It will finish when the spring is over. It wasn't just like this, but anyhow, we bought an activity company, Lapin Luontoelämys, that then merged in the Polar Star Nature brand. And we were really scared that now this was the last thing that we bought a company, and now we are in full of Corona time. But actually, the year after, many Finns were allowed to come to Lapland, and then we managed to sell them a lot of activities. At the end, it wasn't such a bad investment. And then on to 2023-24, we have had a lot of development projects also for digital sales channels. And in the past 2 years, we have made about investment of the on this development for digital channels and also product development. We have spent about 200,000 euros. And who are our customers? Who are our clients? Mainly the tour operators, international tour operators, but also international FITs, so the independent travelers. And this is increasing all the time because in Levy, as traditional, we had a lot of international tour operators that made charter flights to Kittilä Airport. But the past, after Corona time, the growing of FIT, the direct flights, we have seen it very important. And that's why we started to develop our digital channels, because where do this FIT buy? They buy from the digital channels. Our main products are accommodation, is our leading product, and then followed by activity programs. We sell a lot of our sub-appalters like Husky farms, like reindeer farms, but then we have our nature-based own activities, what our guides are guiding. We have 7 full-time employees all the year round, approximately 6 seasonal employees, plus us 2 entrepreneurs. Our partners mainly are Levi, so Visit Levi, our local visit organization, tour operators, and other local companies. Our turnover in April 2025 was about 2,300,000 euros. And our focus is that we are giving a lot of importance to personalized services. We have smaller group than the big, large safari companies. And of course, we have the knowledge of local history, about the local places. And we are really rooted on this land, and we really love Lapland. And of course, our story bank is rooted in the village of Sirkka and the surrounding fells. We know all the local stories. We know what has happened here, and we know also the mythological side of Lapland. And then, of course, very important to us is the sustainability. We are certified with the Green Key, green activities, and then we get 2 years ago Travel Life for tour operators. We are partner, and now we are also certified for Travel Life. And now we are doing also Sustainable Travel Finland, a fourth sustainability certification, which is very important to us. And now let's go back to the services and products from these beautiful Northern Lights and our heart, the story that comes from our heart. Our core services are apartments, Polastar apartments, they're 24, and we have many log cabin accommodation. These log cabins are owned by private owners, but we sell them in the winter season to our tour operators and also individual customers. And we have made this principle a couple of years ago that we are not selling anymore only accommodation, but we will always sell together with accommodation also the excursions or rental or something else. And activity programs, we develop them ourselves, and they are, of course, giving us the best profit because they are the nature-based, our own made activities. And then we have also supporting products and services such as transportation services, equipment rentals, cleaning services, bed linen, overalls, like winter suit rental for winter. We have sauna sets, cottage spa products. And then, of course, we have personalized souvenirs for our guests. And our main partners, of course, the OTA channels are very important. Then we have tour operators such as Travel House from Switzerland, Bureaus Cambri from Netherlands, TUI from Netherlands, many Italian tour operators, Backroads, that customers come from North America and Canada, 50 Degrees North that are taking us customers from North America, Australia and Asia, Inghams from United Kingdom, Wild Nordic, this local company that are sending us customers from Central Europe, and then Levi Tourins, of course, we have all the nationalities. Then we work with more than 30 local subcontractors, including Husky and reindeer farms, snowmobile safari companies, hotels, restaurants, transportation services, sauna providers, and many more. This is just that you can understand what we really do, who are our partners. And these are beautiful lingonberries, by the way, the red ones. And there were some blue ones, blueberries also. And this is our digital sales schedule. I try to make it in the way that you can understand well. So this base system is Travius, which is very old, and we are going to change it after this season. And we're now looking for the new system, how we could even improve it. But we can't make sales directly from Travius. So we have to have for accommodation SiteMinder, which is an international system, which allows us to put all our apartments there, and then we put the pricing there, and then SiteMinder is directly having the availability from Travius, because Travius is keeping the availability, how many apartments are free, which are occupied, and so on. And then from SiteMinder, we managed to sell to OTA channel, to booking.com. Then we have, of course, hotel Booking.com and some other channels also. But as I told you in the beginning, Booking.com is the biggest one for us. We sell about 500,000 euros per year through Booking.com. And then we have, of course, the Google hotels, which is very important that you have the Google hotels, because we would start right like there. We have our Google hotels site, then we have the OTA channels are reading from Google, then the OTA channels are having the rates from the SiteMinder, and SiteMinder is having the availability from Travius, and Travius is then giving our financial report by the end of the month, what we send to our bookkeepers. And then the tour operators, unfortunately, they are not doing digital sales, but they are sending us emails that we manually then put to Travius, because Travius is keeping our availability. And then if we think about then of the activities, we have Bokun, where we put the activities, we are pricing them, and then they send availability directly from Bokun to Travius. So all the sales come to Travius, because Travius is the system where our guides are checking, okay, where do I have to pick up customers? How many customers are in this excursion, and so on. So Bokun is sending all the sales directly to Travius. Then from Bokun, Visit Finland Hub is reading our products. So this is the Visit Finland, all their channels, the activities are going through Bokun. Then, of course, Visit Levi is there. They are reading also. They have also Bokun. They're reading and selling in their webpage directly our products from Bokun. And then polastartravel.fi, our webpage, if you go there and try to buy it, the sales go through Bokun and SiteMinder, and then they swim directly to Travius. And then the OTA channels, like Get Your Guide and Viator, they're reading the availability and rates from Bokun. The rates we have to put manually to OTA channels. We have to put manually all the products there, the photos, the availability, the descriptions, and so on. But then when the customer make the reservation, it swims directly to Bokun, and from Bokun to Travius. And the same, we have to have Google profile, activities profile, because there where the Visit Finland Hub is reading it are when they where the people find us in this web pages. So this is how it looked like. It seems quite complicated, but as I said, we are now, our problem at the moment is that if you want to buy from our webpage, for example, Polastar apartment, you can't buy in the same basket also our activities. You have to do two different both, and it's of course bad, because we should be able to sell to who is buying the accommodation also the activities, or if you come and buy activities, there is possibility to buy the accommodation also. And for this we are now studying how to do it, and there will be big project during this winter to change this, to have even more flexible sales and to sell more, and to make possibility to have packages. And also because our web page at the moment, it's not reading the AE, and this will be very big starting from this Christmas time. There will be already mobile phones on the market that can read, that you can buy directly from your mobile phone a package through AA, so that you have to have a page that can make the packages directly if the customer want to buy from their phone an activity and accommodation. We have to have a web page that is understanding this request that come from AE. So this is what we are going to do this winter. This is how our web page is at the moment, how it looks like. So you have this, you can book your experience, you can book your accommodation, you can book our wellness retreats. On the right hand side, you have got our SOME channels, social media channels. So there is Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and next winter we are probably opening also the TikTok. So this is how it looks like. And this is in our webpage. When you go and want to book accommodation, it goes to our page for the Polarstar apartments. You can have 1-bedroom apartment, you have studio apartment, and the biggest Origo apartments. But at the moment, you can't buy our cottages here because on the SiteMinder is understanding 1 unit from the address. So if you have cottages around Levi with different addresses, you can't put them under one account, and you pay every month per account. So if we put here 30 cottages, we have to pay for 30 different cottages per month. So that's why they're not yet here in our SiteMinder. But some of them are, of course, directly to book in booking.com, but we have to open them then in booking.com. And now we have quite many channels that we have to open ourselves, even though they then go directly to Travius. Okay, next one. And this is how our activity sales look. You can find all our activities here, and then you can buy them, and this is where the customer can buy the activities directly from our web page. This is, for example, our Arctic ice fishing program. This is how the Visit Levi seems. So if you go in Visit Levi and find their activities, you can find our products, but of course there are also 30 other providers for activities. Here is, for example, our Lapis Village Reindeer Drive. We don't have the reindeers. This is our Sapa Paltors product, but we are doing it guiding with our own cars and our own guide. So this is how we manage to sell it also in these digital channels. Here where everything starts. So sales really begin with the Google. Here we have Google Hotels and Google Activities. So we have Polarstar Apartments and Polarstar Travel. Polarstar Travel is the place where we can put all our activities, and Polarstar Apartment where we have our accommodation. And if you see there down, there is like check the rates. It's in Finnish, but it's written check the rates. And there can be there is, for example, Polarstar Apartment, our official site. Then there can be booking.com, there can be hotel.com or whatever. And the same with activities. There is our own web page. Then there can be OTA channel. There can be where we are seeing in the digital sale channels. And this is really important because people can go here directly to our web page and buy, which we would of course prefer. Then we wouldn't pay the commission to these big OTA channels. But really, as I said, the sales really begin from Google. You have to have this Google business profile and Google things to do, because there you can see different options. And this is, for example, written in booking options, Polarstar Travel official web page. And of course, we would like people to go and buy there. But it is really important that if we check from our web page on the right-hand side, polarstartravel.fi, the organic search is the biggest channel where the people gets to our web page. Then there is direct, organic, social, referral, and email. So the organic search is the biggest one. And what does it mean? That if you put, for example, snowshoeing in Levi, then that we come there, that our Google profile, Google activities, we are there, that they can find us, because we as a local company, a small family-owned company, we can't spend so much money to make the advertisement in Google that we would go further or be bigger than Get Your Guide, for example. So they are doing the marketing from us, but it's really important that our Google profiles are well done so that the people can find us. And the people, even with the Get Your Guide, and then they go to Get Your Guide, they see Polarstar Travel, and then they go to our webpage maybe and buy from there, because they see the price is a little bit less, And we have seen that in the years that we have worked with the OTA channels, that we get even more organic search, that people comes directly to our web page to buy. So it has increased also our direct sales from our web page. And this is the OTA channels, Get Your Guide, and Viator is not yet open, but we are opening to this winter season. We opened the Get Your Guide in 2 years ago, so we have been working with them already with 2 years. And last year the sales were about 40,000 euros, but now I checked that we have already sold about 40,000 euros for the next winter. So I think that we will be much higher in Get Your Guide sales this year. And here you can see some of our products, how they look in Get Your Guide. And this is how the Get Your Guide looks. So there is, for example, there is the review, which is very important. We have get, for example, 4.6 points in this Lapis Village Reindeer Drive. And this is really important. Now, this was done last year, so there was 9 reviews. Now there are maybe 20 reviews. More reviews you have, more the people are buying, because they say, okay, this is a partner that many people has been, and they have given a good review. So I want to go with them also. They don't check so much what is the price, but they see the reviews, because people want to, when they come so far away, they spend a lot of money for activity. They want to be sure that it's a good activity. The same what we do if we travel. Many of us also go to booking.com. And myself, if I buy something, I want that there are reviews and that the reviews are good. That there is written if there is, for example, bar downstairs and there is noise all the night that we can't sleep, so I don't buy it. So that's why the reviews are very important. In your own webpage, there is it's not so clearly seen what are the reviews than for example in Get Your Guide. And digital sales. Okay, so what is our sales structure? We still sell through our tour operator partners, about 70% of our total sales. And this is really important that our reputation is good. And we have the recommended, the tour operator trusts us, and we are selling them good packages. And then the B2C, so the FIT market is about 30% of our total sales. But as I told you before, it's growing all the time. And because in Kittilä Airport, we have now many direct flights instead of only the tour operator charter flights. So the people want to buy their own holidays. So they buy the flight tickets and then they go in the internet to find the other services. And that's why all this digital sales channel has to be in good form, so that we are sure that we are seen there and the people can buy from us. And here we have, of course, excursions and accommodation. And this online distribution channel plays really a significant role in generating sales. And in accommodation, the key channel is booking.com. It's about 500,000 sales per year. And there are apartments and cabins. Get Your Guide, as I told you, it was last year 40,000 euros, but I suppose it will be at least 60, even more this year. Then we are opening the Viator and TripAdvisor and Viator this autumn still. And then Google Business Profile and Google Things to Do. It is visibility for our activities, and it's supported by Google Ads, and OTA channels are running campaigns there. So if you see wherever you go in the world, I for example, I'm going to Sicily in a couple of weeks for holiday for 1 week. If I find there like activity, whatever, so all the things that come there, all from Get Your Guide. So it's really important wherever you go, people are used to it, and they are buying more and more through this OTA channel. Then Visit Levi tourism are also selling us a lot via Bokun. And then in other channel, social media and auto recommendation. We have also office in the center of Levi. People can walk inside, but if we think of all the rest, it's really margin sales, the people that walk to our office and buy from us. And social media is very important to be also in good shape, good photos, because it's our visit card. And this auto recommendations that has to be in good level. I have still some notes on digital distribution. So we were quite surprised how high is the commission in these auto channels, like Get Your Guide is more than 30%. But then we thought that, okay, they are doing from our side all the marketing, that we could ever spend such a big, huge amount for marketing as they are doing for us. And then when selling the other products, for example, from reindeer farm, it's really important to make the pricing correctly. So sometimes our products in Get Your Guide, they are much higher than in our own webpage. And then because we have to have very small minimum size of the group, otherwise we won't get sales in. And then product description and photos has to be extremely good, because you are doing all these sales through the images, through the dreaming of people, and they're dreaming a perfect holiday and they want to go perfect place, perfect excursion, perfect house. So everything has to be really good photos that the people will find you and that you are making a diversification from the competition. And as I said, digital customer acquisition, it's very important that all this, who is doing marketing for us? It's the auto channels, tour operators, Google. So it's all online. It's somebody else than us. What is our point of view in this chain? It is that we build our reputation. And we have to deliver what we promise. We have to be really good on our excursions. Our houses has to be clean, beautiful. They have to be in a good condition. Because if we keep our reputation good, our sales will go wonderfully in the internet, on these auto channels and on digital sales. And for the tour operators, they are coming year after year to us because they know that their customer satisfaction is good. This is our social media, still Facebook and Instagram. And as I said, the photos has to be good, and also in YouTube. They have to be good film. There have to be good photos, because Instagram is more like, I wouldn't say anymore, it's our digital sales channel, but this is our digital business card. Because people go there when they're still dreaming, then when they are wishing to go and they see beautiful photo, they get inspired and then they buy. And what we have done, it's a continuous development. We have been investing a lot of money on development. And here what project we have had in past years. We have had 2 ELY-keskus business development services where we get funding from EU and our Finnish government. And of course you have to have like your own part also, you're spending, it's not money. You have to have the same money what you get, you have to invest also from your company, and then it's also the investment of salaries, of work, and so on. We had the digital sales development in 2023-24, and then we have snow-free season project that we were developing our summer and autumn products, because for us main season is winter, but now we have wonderful increasing products and beautiful products also for summer and autumn, which we have seen that it is increasing also our sales in this snow-free period. And we are also making a new development initiative that we are still waiting to reply if it will go, and we will focus on development, innovation, and responsible tourism and product development for snow-free season. And our vision in the autumn and summer time is that Levi is the hub for the most attractive and internationally renovated cycling area in Finland, and cycling is the most attractive product in Levi during the snow-free season. Levi offers diverse, high-quality and accessible cycling experiences, as well as sustainable tourist services and activities that are highly valued by customers. So this is our goal for the snow-free season, because we have to have more sales also in the low season, because otherwise how can we pay the salaries all the year round and how we can really develop? This is our vision for the summer and autumn. And this is what I wanted to tell you from our side, like a case study, what we have done as a digital road. But as I said, there are new projects coming because it's so much changing this field, and there is this AI that is changing a lot in digital market, and it will come really, really fast. Thank you for listening to me, and I hope you get some inspiration or ideas from my representation. Thank you, and have a nice continue of the day. Maybe I will see you one day in Levi, Lapland in Finland.
Okay, thank you, Heidi. Pre-recorded message. And now we still give floor to Sanna-Mari and Maarit. They will wrap up this webinar. Please, ladies.
Thank you, Eija. Thank you very much. I put one slide here, but first I would like to somehow summary about this webinar and exactly those case descriptions that was just earlier in this our closing time. We have heard today about experiences of Bearhill Husky's path toward smarter tourism, and how they have started with baby steps to maybe a rapid growth, and also their excellent example of this virtual tour example in use. That is great to have. Great to have this kind of examples also. And then we heard descriptions of Polestar Travel company, their history, and also their success story, but also what kind of challenges they have met. For example, working with several various digital solutions in sales, and how they handled and going on to develop those areas in their company. I think that the main message is that all travel professionals need increasingly more and new digital skills, and they have to be ability to utilize technologies, especially in customer-oriented way, and they have to have willingness to learn continuously. But I think that was the great message from both companies, that they have start in step by step, taking identifying one or two main tasks that to need improve, and then focus on developing them. What do you think, Sanna-Mari? What do you think about how tourism companies can handle this kind of huge issues in generally?
Well, first of all, thank you for the presenters about the cases, and based on what's heard in the cases, I think that first of all, this requires learning. It's a continuous learning process. And what has been emphasized that it also requires identifying trends, opportunities, understanding markets. It requires structured planning, using data for development, branding, creativeness. So I think that it requires different kind of skills, but getting the bigger vision, the bigger plan, how to use digitalization as a tool in the company, and to set objectives and develop a digital strategy, as said. I think those are the key takeaways from these examples too.
Yes, I put there in the title for SMEs that identify, focused and develop. And I think that in our presentation, we may have focused more on SMEs because smaller companies don't have so much financial or intellectual capital handle current challenges, but they still need to be able to somehow respond current demands, and that's why I think that they have to somehow simplify the boldness and take step by step, as also mentioned in those case studies we get here today. Well, I think that from myself, I would like to thank you all about hearing us, and also, of course, to get in this kind of invitation to being here.
Thank you for participating.
Excellent. Thank you, Maarit and Sanna-Mari. We end our webinar in here, and remind you that this has been recorded, and now we just add subtitles and then share it with you all. So you can if somebody didn't get to hear didn't have time to participate today, they can see the webinar later on. Thank you and have a nice day. Bye-bye.